The police are here to monitor a funeral for a guy named KP.
Comes into view and then out of view of the camera right here. And then following him, we see the first suspect, gun in hand, chasing him as well.
That shooting is said to have sparked a grisly challenge online between two rival gangs, a race to kill 100 people in the next 100 days.
LA has always been one of the most violent, gang-infested cities in the world, and right now, the Rollin Hundreds Crips are moving to the top of that food chain. They're known for being one of the most violent Crip sets in LA, with a long history of brutal feuds and a huge list of enemies.
108th West, we in the set.
That he talking, but we really on the field. Hit the next block, I think I seen something.
They even sparked one of the deadliest gang wars ever, the infamous 100 Days, 100 Nights, where countless lives were lost.
It was one of the worst years of my life, and I've seen over 47, 48 years of violence, but nothing compared to what went on in 2015.
Origins. The Rollin Hundreds are made up of a bunch of different sets under the neighborhood Crip umbrella, all posted up on the west side of South Los Santos. Their turf stretches wide, from 101st Street all the way down to 120th Street. Some of the sets that make up the Rollin Hundreds include the Budlaw Gangster Crips, 104 Hard Time Hustler Crips, 105 Underground Block Crips, 105 Gangster Crips, 107 Original Block Crips, 111 Neighborhood Crips, 113 Original Block Crips, 115 Neighborhood Crips, 115 Pimptown Block Crips, 116 Acacia Block Hustler Crips, 117 Watergate Crips, and the 120 Raymond Avenue Crips.
This 100 Crip, you know what I'm saying? 2 more blocks down, you got the snooze all through there. Damn Budlong and shit. You can't with that shit. To kill all that, we push that back.
But by the late 2020s, things got messy. A lot of the gangs under the block cards started beefing heavy with the 111 Neighborhood Crips after a wave of shootings left bodies on both sides. Going back a bit, the Underground Crips were actually one of the very first sets to break off from the original West Side Crips, along with the Neighborhood Block Crips way back around 1973. Monkey Man, an OG West Side Crips from the Hundreds area, is credited with founding the Underground Crips. They got their name because the original crew used to kick it in the basement of a house near Western and 104th Street. Plus, it's rumored they drew inspiration from Curtis Mayfield's 1971 song, The Underground, off his Roots album. Meanwhile, the Block Crips also broke off from the West Side Crips around the same time, founded by Melvin Hardy. Both the Undergrounds and the Block Crips were part of the first wave of Crip sets that wanted their own neighborhood identity. Over time, they each developed their own look too. The Underground started repping the Indianapolis Colts logo, while the Block Crips adopted the Boston Red Sox logo as a symbol for their hood. By the 1980s, while inside the county jail system, these different sets started linking up tighter under what became known as the Rollin Hundreds. Some of the more well-known names from the Rollin Hundreds include Snoopy Harvard, Tunchi 5, and Bino Rideau, just to name a few.
Stand in one spot, pussy, make a move, either go and hit a lick, a little boy stay in school.
Rivals. When it comes to enemies, the Block Crips and pretty much the whole Rollin Hundreds have had it out with the Hoover gang for decades. On top of that, they beef hard with Bloods and a lot of the gangster Crip sets too. But the Hoover beef especially runs real deep. One of the wildest and infamous chapters in Rollin Hundreds history has to be the 100 Days, 100 Nights saga, a brutal 2015 gang war with the Hoover Criminals that had the whole city on edge. It all started after the murder of a well-respected Rollin Hundreds OG, Kenneth KP Pevey, and quickly spiraled into a wave of retaliation that had everybody in the area shook. The killing of KP. KP wasn't just anybody. He was a real stand-up dude from the Rollin Hundreds, repping the original Block Crip set. Younger homies looked up to him because he had already put in a lot of work for the hood and carried himself like a real leader. By mid-2015, things between the Hundreds and the Hoovers were already heated. Shootouts, fistfights, disses, flying around in graffiti and all over social media. It was a powder keg waiting to blow. Then on July 17, 2015, KB went to meet up with some people on the 1600 block of West 109th Street, right in the heart of Hundreds territory, when he got ambushed. 2 Hoover members rolled up and gunned him down. According to police, the security footage showed one of the shooters was left-handed, a detail they kept in mind later. They chased KP down a driveway and shot him multiple times.
He comes into view and then out of view of the camera right here. And then following him, we see the first suspect, gun in hand, chasing him as well.
KP's murder rocked the Rollin Hundreds to their core. He wasn't just a soldier, he was someone the whole community respected and loved. Everybody was furious, and the tension hit a whole new level. Detectives even said the Hoovers seemed like they were out that day just looking for any Hundreds member to catch slipping, and sadly, KP was the one. After his death, the streets were buzzing with talk of revenge. At KP's funeral, which happened a couple weeks later, cops from 3 different agencies pulled up heavy, expecting something to pop off. A reporter who was there said you could feel the fear in the air. It wasn't just people mourning KP, they were scared of what was about to happen next. 100 days, 100 nights. And it didn't take long for the rumors to explode. Word started going around on social media about a sinister challenge tied to KP's murder. Somebody posted a map showing the 100's turf on Twitter or Instagram, labeled it Rollin 100s, and then someone else reposted it with a caption, 100 days, 100 nights of killing. Basically, the rumor was that the 100s were planning to kill 100 people, whether Hoover affiliates or just anybody caught in enemy territory over the next 100 days. The very first day of the so-called 100 Days, 100 Nights challenge made it clear to everybody that this wasn't just some internet rumor. It was very real, and it was about to get ugly. On Saturday, July 25, 2015, about a week after KP's funeral, the streets wasted no time getting bloody. Around 4 p.m., a shooter from the Rollin 100s pulled up on a random man sitting in his car near 81st Street in Hoover, right in the heart of Hoover Criminals territory, and let off a round of shots, killing the man right there on the spot. The victim was 47-year-old Anthony Alonso Cudger, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. But it didn't stop there. Less than an hour later, just 7 blocks away, another man in his 40s was shot while driving near 75th and Figueroa. Even though he was badly hurt, he managed to drive himself to the hospital. Then that same night, around 9 p.m., a man in his 20s was found bleeding out with a gunshot wound to his stomach near Hyde Park Boulevard and Pinehurst. And just 30 minutes after that, a gunman opened fire on a group of 3 people walking near 47th Street in Vermont, hitting 2 men and a woman, all critically injured. There was even more. A car-to-car shooting happened too. According to City News Service, a young man told police that another driver pulled up beside him, shot him in the buttocks, and sped off. Luckily, he survived and got rushed to the hospital, but it just showed how wild and random the violence had become. While all this chaos was popping off, KP's family was heartbroken watching how his name was being dragged into the madness. They hated seeing the 100 Days, 100 Nights hashtag floating around, acting like KP somehow caused all of it. It's making him look like a bad person. It's not like he started this and got killed behind it. He had no control over what's going on with the 100 Days, 100 Nights, one of KP's family members said during a phone interview with the Daily Beast, choosing to stay anonymous out of fear for their safety. The truth was, KP had been working hard to change his life. Yeah, he had ties to the streets, no one denied that, but by the time of his death, he was a full-time single dad who was all about raising his son the right way. He stayed out of drama and kept mostly to himself, focused on his kid. He was always in his son's life, from walking him to school in the morning to picking him up after, his family member shared. KP even kept his son involved in sports year-round to keep him busy and away from gang life. He coached his boys' youth football team and made it a point to be a real role model. So when the shootings broke out, KP's family just couldn't stand watching all this violence unfold in his name. With a shooting, I feel like all of that is unnecessary. I can't say for them how they should feel about the situation, whether they should go about their revenge or not. I just feel like they shouldn't go about it that way, said another family member. KP's family even went as far as publicly pleading for the violence to stop. It's just gonna put them in the same situation. You are either going to die behind this or go to jail behind this, one relative said. It's not going to make a difference, it's just making it worse. But despite the family's pleas, the violence kept spiraling. By just 20 days into the 100 days period, news outlets had already counted dozens of shootings believed to be tied to the feud. LAPD went into full crisis mode, putting the whole city under a tactical alert and flooding the streets with extra patrols. Still, it wasn't enough. The shooters were smart, moving like hunters, creeping around neighborhoods in cars, looking for targets at random. The summer of 2015 turned out to be one of the deadliest in recent LA history. By the end of August, the city recorded its worst August for murders since 2007, with 39 killings that month alone. Police officials later admitted that a 100 Days, 100 Nights situation definitely played a big role in the spike. There's no official body count tied directly to the challenge because not every shooting got linked to it, but what's clear is that the Rollin 100's Hoover War caused dozens of shootings and a bunch of murders. And not all of the victims were gang members either. Plenty of innocent people got caught in the madness. One tragic example was Marcus McClendon, a 52-year-old mechanic who got shot and killed while visiting friends on 65th Place on August 18, 2015.
One of the victims' pictures, 52-year-old Marcus McClendon, was sitting in a car this morning with his 72-year-old friend just before midnight when someone came up and opened fire on them.
It was just a random, senseless act of violence. His friend, Don Irvin, survived the shooting and later described the horror of watching a man walk up out of nowhere and just start blasting.
He was a local mechanic, and we did speak with his girlfriend, who said he had no gang ties or any enemies. She says he told her he was going out to the store but never came back.
Marcus's murder still remains unsolved. A year later, LAPD even offered a $50,000 reward for tips, but nobody ever came forward. Before KP's death. Now, for a lot of people who were following the chaos back then, it seemed like the 100 Days, 100 Nights war kicked off after KP's death. And yeah, KP's murder definitely lit the fire under the whole thing. But when you really rewind the clock and look closer, you'll see that the drama might have already been brewing way before KP got killed, like months before. If you go back to March 2015, things were already getting hot with the UG or undergrounds. So here's how it started. On March 12th, at a 105th Street, some UG members were hanging out. You had some heavy hitters out there too, guys like Bill Shepard, also known as $100 Bill, a well-respected member in that section, Infant Tune, Baby Hound, and some others like Quincy Jefferson and Cleo Steele. All of them were posted on 105th that day. Now, while they were out there, Tune and Hound pull up and tell the group they just spotted a dude named Cleveland Ross Jr. over in Century and Hoover, right by the AutoZone. Now, Cleveland Ross wasn't just anybody, he was a reputable figure from the Hoovers, and if you know anything about South LA gang politics, Century Avenue is a big street for Hoover gang activity. That area basically serves as a borderline between the 107 Hoovers and the 9 Deuce Hoovers, or the 92 Hoovers. Even though the 92s are a little further out, it's still right in that heavy Hoover zone. At the time, Ross was just at AutoZone trying to fix his BMW's battery, just minding his business. But once he got spotted, it was on. The UG dudes jumped into a caravan, rolling 3 cars deep straight down Century towards the AutoZone, ready for whatever. Tune was in the lead car with Quincy Jefferson, and another UG member, Johnny Johnson, hopped into another whip with Cleo Steele. They had a third car trailing too. When they pulled up, they circled the AutoZone a couple times. Quincy Jefferson later said he clearly saw Ross trying to install the new battery, minding his own. That's when Jefferson jumped out the car with a .357 and shot Cleveland Ross Jr. at least 7 times, right there in broad daylight. After the shooting, they all peeled off and went back to 105th. But what they didn't know was that surveillance cameras in nearby cell towers had already started connecting the dots, putting them in the area at the exact time of the murder. It didn't catch up to them immediately, but the evidence was stacking quietly in the background. Fast forward a few months to June 10th, still 2015, this was before KP got killed on 109th, and things popped off again. This time a few dudes were suspected Hoover members. Mikel Washington, Michael Baptist, Larail Williams, and Kevin Carr were chilling near 88th and Vermont, outside Monarch Liquor Store. Now if you know that spot, you know it sits right on the borderline of A-Tray Gangster and 9 Deuce Hoover territory. The UG dudes were beefing heavy with both A-Tray and 9 Deuce Hoovers at this point, so anywhere around there was a hot zone. So here's how it went down. Michael Baptist pulls up to the liquor store in a Dodge Dart. He runs inside to grab some cigarettes. Meanwhile, Mikel Washington hops out of the car too, trying to holler at somebody across the street. When Baptist comes back out and gets back into the Dart, he notices 3 dudes sitting in a nearby car, and he immediately knows they were from his section. Sensing something bad was about to happen, he tries to get out of there, but right as he tries to back out, a white Chevy Malibu blocks him in, and that's when the shooting starts. Shots start flying everywhere, Baptist gets hit once in the leg and twice in the back. He even said later that somebody got so close to him during the ambush that he heard the shooter say, "You next," right before getting shot in the mouth. Somehow, despite being shot multiple times, Baptist survived. Meanwhile, Mikel Washington, who had walked across the street earlier, got caught in the gunfire too. He was seen staggering back across the street, but it didn't make it. He died right there from multiple gunshot wounds. A woman waiting at a nearby bus stop also got hit, along with a few other people. In total, 5 people were shot that day, but Washington was the only one who didn't survive. Now after that incident, LAPD swooped in and started picking up dudes from UG left and right. One thing that stirred up a lot of controversy was that one of the 9 Deuce members who had been shot and was under anesthesia allegedly pointed out one of the UG guys while he was still doped up in the hospital. The whole situation was messy because when Kevin Carr, another dude who was shot, later woke up, he said he didn't even remember identifying anybody. But either way, the cops got enough to move forward. They connected Patrick Bell, who was driving the white Malibu that boxed in Baptist's car, back to UG. Bell was also cousins with Cleo Steele, who, mind you, was involved in both the March AutoZone shooting and the June liquor store shootout. Eventually, Patrick Bell flipped. He cut a deal with prosecutors for a lighter sentence and gave up testimony against Cleo Steele and Quincy Jefferson. Jefferson, the same dude who allegedly pulled the trigger on Cleveland Ross, ended up snitching too to save his own skin. And just for more context, $100 Bill Shepard, who was hanging out with these guys during the March incident, lost his life just a couple of years later over on 107th, near those apartments between Dinker and Western. Point is, a lot of major blood was already spilled between these sets before KP even got touched. The streets were already heating up, and the tension was damn near unbearable by the time KP's murder went down. His death just threw gasoline on an already raging fire.